Welcome back to Fiction Flux. Today, we're kicking off a brand new journey with a fascinating twist. What if Izumi Midoriya, our beloved heroine, became a YouTuber? How would her world change if she combined the struggles of heroism with the fast-paced, spotlight-driven life of a content creator? No more waiting, let's jump right into this exciting adventure and see how Izumi navigates this new chapter in her life. It was just another ordinary day at UA High School for Izumi Midoriya, but for the first time in her life, Izumi was feeling something new, a spark of excitement she hadn't felt before. For years, she had been dreaming of becoming a pro hero, but today, something else was calling to her. It started when she noticed a fellow student, Mei Hatsume, working on some tech in the back of the classroom. "Deku-chan," Mei called out with an excited grin. "I've got something that could make you a star. You could use it for a YouTube channel." Izumi blinked in surprise. A YouTube channel. She had always admired the heroes on TV, and the idea of becoming one of them had always been her greatest aspiration. But a YouTube channel, that was something entirely different. Mei handed her a small, custom-made gadget that allowed her to record her training sessions in high definition. "With this, you can create your own content. You're always so passionate, Deku-chan. Maybe your journey as a hero could inspire others." The idea lodged itself in Izumi's mind. That night, she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her mind racing with possibilities. Maybe she could combine her love of heroism with something that connected with people on a more personal level. Perhaps her journey could inspire others the way her heroes inspired her. The next morning, Izumi stood in front of her computer, her heart pounding. The channel's name came to her quickly, Hero in Progress. It would be a place where she documented her trials, triumphs, and everything in between. A raw, unfiltered look at a hero in the making. With a deep breath, she pressed upload on her first video. Weeks passed, and Izumi's channel began to gain some traction. Her videos, though not wildly popular, were gaining a loyal following. Fans loved seeing her struggles as she trained, the small victories she celebrated after each lesson, and the way she clung to her dream despite the hardships she faced. But not everything was easy. As she trained, she became more aware of her limitations. Her quirk, One for All, was powerful, yes, but she wasn't able to control it fully yet. It still shattered her body each time she used it, and it made her feel weak in front of her viewers. Yet, every time she stumbled, her followers rallied behind her, sending her messages of encouragement. But the true test came when UA announced a special exam, an exercise that would test the students' abilities in a real-world scenario, combining combat with rescue operations. This was the chance to prove herself. Izumi knew it would be grueling. The heroes in training were being pushed to their limits. One night, after hours of training, Izumi found herself filming her final pre-exam vlog. "I'm scared," she admitted to the camera, her voice trembling. "I've never been more terrified. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if all this training, all this effort, is just not enough?" The comments flooded in almost instantly, filled with kind words and encouragement. The support she received from her viewers kept her going, even when doubts clouded her mind. She promised herself that no matter what, she would give her all in the exam. The day of the exam arrived, and tension was thick in the air. Izumi stood at the starting point, her heart racing. She could hear the distant sounds of her classmates preparing for their own challenges, but her focus was elsewhere. She needed to push through. This was the moment she had been waiting for. As the exercise began, she charged into action, her mind sharp and focused. Her quirk flared to life as she helped evacuate civilians, dodging debris and using her limited control over One for All to assist her classmates. But during a critical moment, a sudden surge of energy sent her crashing into a building. Pain shot through her arm, and for a second, she thought she couldn't continue. She collapsed to her knees, clutching her arm. I can't do this," she whispered, her tears mixing with the dust. And then, she remembered something, her viewers. Her fans who had supported her from the very beginning. The messages of encouragement. The words that reminded her that being a hero wasn't about being perfect, it was about never giving up. With shaking hands, she activated her camera, streaming live. I can't stop now, she said to the camera, her voice raw. I'm not giving up. Not now. Not ever. This is my dream. The live stream exploded with messages of support. Her fans cheered her on, urging her to keep going. Slowly, she stood, her arm throbbing, but her resolve stronger than ever. She pushed through the pain and completed the task. Despite the odds, she succeeded. The moment the exam ended, Izumi looked at the comments pouring in on her live stream. You're amazing, Deku. You showed us what it means to be a hero. You're our inspiration, Deku-chan. Keep going. Just as Izumi thought she was finally beginning to gain recognition, something unexpected happened. Her phone buzzed with an urgent notification from her channel. Someone had uploaded a video, an anonymous video, claiming to expose the truth behind her powers. The title read, Deku's Dark Secret, The Truth About One for All. Her stomach dropped. The video revealed her training sessions in intense detail, showing how her quirk was slowly destroying her body. It was accompanied by claims that she was endangering herself and others by continuing to push her limits. Izumi watched the video in shock, her mind racing. The video was filled with misinformation and twisted truths. It was the work of someone who knew too much. But who? And why now? Her viewers turned on her. Messages flooded in, accusing her of hiding the truth and putting herself in danger for views. The pressure mounted as the storm of backlash intensified. But just as she was about to break, something incredible happened. Her true fans came to her defense. They didn't care about the backlash or the drama, they cared about the hero they had been watching grow, flaws and all. The comments flooded in, declaring their unwavering support. Deku, we know you're not perfect. But that's what makes you a hero. You keep going no matter what. I don't care about the haters. You're my hero, Deku. Izumi sat in front of her camera once again, this time more determined than ever. Thank you, she began, her voice steady despite the weight of the situation. Thank you to all of you who have supported me. I won't let this stop me. I won't let anyone tell me who I can be. She smiled softly. This journey, it's not just mine. It's ours. Her eyes glinted with resolve. And I'm just getting started. With a deep breath, Izumi pressed upload on her next video, this one titled, The True Strength of a Hero. The road ahead was uncertain, but one thing was for sure, Izumi Midoriya was not just hero in progress, she was already a hero to so many. Izumi's journey as both a student and a YouTuber was never simple, but after the scandal and the support from her fans, she started to find a rhythm. There were days when it felt like everything was too much to handle, the weight of both her hero training and her online persona pressing down on her. She spent hours filming her training, editing her videos, and interacting with her followers, all while keeping up with her UA coursework. It wasn't easy. One afternoon, after an intense training session with All Might, Izumi sat in front of her computer, exhausted but determined. Her latest video had just gone live, and the number of comments pouring in made her nervous. It was a vulnerable moment, she had shown her struggles with One for All in more detail than ever before. The last thing she wanted was for people to see her as weak, but she knew that being open was what made her human. Maybe if I just show them how hard it is, they'll understand. I have to keep going, she whispered to herself. She hit the refresh button. Her fingers trembled as the comments appeared. Deku, we see how much you're giving. Don't stop, you're so close to becoming a true hero. You're inspiring me every day, Izumi. I can't wait to see you reach your full potential. Keep it up, Deku-chan. We're with you no matter what. Tears pricked the corners of Izumi's eyes. The overwhelming support wasn't new, but it still took her by surprise. She had always felt like an outsider, but the digital world had given her a place where she could be vulnerable, where people truly cared. But, as always, there were critics. She had received a message that night from someone claiming that she was putting herself in danger for the sake of views. They accused her of fabricating her injuries to gain sympathy. Izumi's heart sank. Was she doing the right thing? Was she truly doing this for herself, or was she just chasing validation? As she sat there in the dim light, her phone buzzed again. It was a message from her childhood friend, Ochako Uraraka. Ochako, Deku, you're doing great. I know you're tough, but remember that you don't have to do this alone. We're all in this together. Izumi smiled softly, the warmth of Ochako's words helping to ease the knot in her stomach. She typed back quickly, Izumi, thanks, Ochako. I don't know where I'd be without you. But even as her friends and fans lifted her up, the pressure continued to build. Every new video required more energy. Every new vlog demanded a piece of her spirit. She had to maintain her image as the determined, hard-working hero. Yet, behind the scenes, she struggled with the constant battle between wanting to be a hero and the need for balance in her life. Weeks went by, and the pressure only seemed to mount. Between school assignments, hero internships, and video production, Izumi felt like she was constantly juggling too many things at once. One evening, after a brutal training session that left her bruised and exhausted, Izumi stumbled into her room and slumped into her chair. She glanced at the clock, it was 11:45 p.m. She still had an entire vlog to edit and upload for the next day. Her fans were waiting for it. She had promised them daily content, and she refused to break that promise. Her hands were shaking, and her body felt like it was on the brink of collapsing, but she couldn't stop. Not now. As she worked into the early hours of the morning, a new notification popped up on her screen, live chat scheduled for tomorrow at 6 p.m. The chat was supposed to be a Q&A with her fans, an opportunity to connect with her followers on a personal level. But, at that moment, it felt like another thing she had to do, another responsibility on top of everything else. Izumi groaned and slumped further in her chair. I'm so tired. Her phone buzzed again, breaking her from her thoughts. It was a message from Mei Hatsume. Mei, Deku-chan, I've got some new equipment for your next stream. You'll love it. I promise it'll make your videos 100% better. I know you're pushing yourself, but you're going to need this. Izumi stared at the message for a long moment. It was kind of made to offer help, but Izumi couldn't help but feel the weight of her own self-imposed expectations. She needed to keep improving, keep uploading, keep showing her fans that she could handle it all. But can I? She thought, biting her lip in frustration. She turned to her phone again, but before she could send a response to Mei, another message popped up on her screen. This one was from her fanbase. Hey, Deku, we know you're going through a tough time. Take care of yourself first, alright? We love you, but we want you to be happy. Don't let the stress get to you. The comment wasn't as flashy as others, but the sincerity behind it hit Izumi hard. She closed her eyes, holding her phone close to her chest. Maybe she didn't have to carry everything alone. Maybe it was okay to ask for help. The next day, Izumi made a decision. She had spent so much of her time trying to balance everything, pushing herself harder than ever to meet expectations. But today, she would do something different. Instead of jumping into another grueling training session or scrambling to edit another video, Izumi decided to take a step back. She spent the day walking through the city, listening to the world around her. For the first time in a long while, she felt the weight of her responsibilities lift, if only for a little while. It was okay to take a break. It was okay to not be perfect. That afternoon, Izumi went live for the Q&A. Hey, everyone, she said with a soft smile. I want to thank you all for your support over the past few weeks. Honestly, there's so much I could say, but there's one thing I want to make clear, being a hero isn't just about the big battles. It's also about knowing when to rest, when to ask for help, and when to take care of yourself. The comments started pouring in. Deku, you're amazing for saying that. I needed to hear that. You've always been real with us, Izumi. We got your back. Izumi smiled, feeling the warmth of their words surround her. In that moment, she realized that she didn't need to carry the burden alone. She wasn't just a hero to them, they were heroes to her, too. From that day on, Izumi began to find a better balance. She continued posting content, but she also gave herself permission to take breaks when needed. Her videos became more authentic, showing not just her hero training but her life as a student, her moments of joy and the struggles she faced along the way. Her YouTube channel, Hero in Progress, wasn't just about becoming a pro hero, it was about showing that heroes could be vulnerable, too. They didn't have to be perfect. They just had to keep moving forward. Izumi's journey was far from over. She had a long way to go before becoming the hero she dreamed of being, but one thing was certain, she wasn't alone. And with her fans by her side, there was nothing she couldn't overcome. Izumi's decision to find balance between her YouTube career and hero training didn't come without its challenges. Her audience, growing steadily with each passing week, expected more content. The online community she had built was buzzing with excitement, and her following was steadily increasing. Her fans seemed to be everywhere, leaving comments, sending her messages of support, and asking for more behind-the-scenes footage. But the more they demanded, the more she found herself sinking into old habits, pushing herself to her breaking point, determined to deliver what they wanted, despite the toll it was taking on her body. Izumi had learned a lot about self-care, but the pressure was mounting. One evening, she sat in her room, with her camera on, preparing for another live stream, but her exhaustion had caught up with her. Her muscles were sore from the latest training session, her eyes felt heavy, and the buzzing of her phone in her pocket made her feel like she was drowning in expectations. She stared at herself in the camera. Should I go live tonight? Her mind raced. What if I let them down? Her finger hovered over the "Start Stream" button, but for the first time in a long time, she hesitated. She picked up her phone, reading the message notifications. Deku-chan, we love you. You're amazing, please don't ever stop. We're waiting for your next video, Deku. We need your inspiration. Izumi closed her eyes, feeling the weight of it all. She had always been a people-pleaser, afraid to disappoint anyone. But lately, she had been afraid of disappointing herself. Suddenly, the door to her room creaked open. Deku, you okay in there? It was Ochako, her ever-supportive best friend, standing in the doorway, looking at her with concern. Izumi sighed, leaning back in her chair. I don't know, Ochako. I feel like I'm losing myself. I'm so tired, but my fans, they're depending on me. They look up to me. Her voice cracked. What if I let them down? Ochako walked in and sat beside her, resting a hand on her shoulder. Izumi, I think you're forgetting something really important. She smiled warmly. You're not alone in this. You've got all of us, your friends, your classmates, your fans. And you're not some machine. You're human. You're allowed to rest. You're allowed to feel tired. Izumi let out a shaky breath, fighting back the tears. I don't want to disappoint anyone. I don't want to let them down, especially when they're counting on me. Ochako shook her head. You won't let anyone down, Izumi. Not by taking care of yourself. Trust me, people love you because of who you are, not just because of your videos. They want to see you happy, not burned out. Izumi smiled softly, her chest tightening with gratitude. Thanks, Ochako. You always know what to say. Her friend squeezed her shoulder. You know, you can take a break. Just one night. Your fans will understand. You can't pour from an empty cup. Izumi nodded slowly. She had always tried to do everything on her own, but maybe, just maybe, it was time to accept that it was okay to ask for help, to take a moment for herself. The next day, Izumi made a choice. Instead of recording a new video or streaming, she made an announcement to her fans, something she had been too afraid to do for a long time. With her phone in hand, Izumi took a deep breath and hit record. Hey, everyone, it's Izumi. I just wanted to talk to you all for a minute, she began, her voice steady but soft. I've been pushing myself a lot lately. Between school, hero training, and keeping up with the channel, I've been running on empty. I know I've promised daily uploads, and I've tried my best to keep that promise. But I think it's time I take a step back for a little bit. I need to focus on my health, my training, and, most importantly, on being a real hero. And to do that, I need to rest. To recharge. I hope you understand. She paused, looking down at her hands. What if they don't understand? What if they're disappointed? The fear gnawed at her, but she pressed on. Thank you for everything. Your support means the world to me. I promise, I'll be back. I'm not giving up on you, on this channel, or my dream. But for now, I need to take care of myself. I hope you'll still be here when I return. Thank you. She hesitated for a moment before hitting stop. It felt like a weight had been lifted from her shoulders, but also like a new burden had been placed in its place. What would happen now? Would her fans still support her, or would they abandon her for being weak? Izumi set her phone down, letting out a deep breath. She wasn't sure of the outcome, but she knew she had made the right choice. That night, she went to sleep without worrying about her next video or her next stream. She simply closed her eyes and let the peaceful silence of her room envelop her. The next morning, Izumi woke up to a wave of messages from her fans. The notifications on her phone were almost overwhelming, but she hesitated before opening them. With a deep breath, she unlocked her phone. Deku, we love you. Take care of yourself, you deserve a break. You've already inspired us so much, Izumi. Rest and come back stronger than ever. We're not going anywhere, we're with you, Deku. You're amazing for being honest with us. Rest up, and when you're ready, we'll be here. Izumi couldn't help but smile as tears pricked her eyes. Her fans had responded with nothing but love and support. They understood. They truly understood. It was a humbling moment for her. She realized that she had been so focused on trying to live up to an impossible standard that she had forgotten one simple truth: being a hero wasn't just about strength. It was also about resilience. And part of that resilience came from knowing when to step back, when to heal, and when to accept help. Her heart swelled with gratitude as she read each message, each one a reminder of why she started this journey in the first place: to inspire others by showing her authentic self, flaws and all. Izumi spent the next few weeks focusing on herself, getting proper rest, and recovering from her intense training sessions. She spent time with her friends, took walks in the park, and even started practicing some of her favorite hobbies: painting, reading, and exploring new aspects of her life outside of heroism. When she was ready to return, she uploaded a new video. This time, it wasn't about her latest training or her progress as a hero. It was a simple message of gratitude. I'm back, she said with a warm smile. I needed time to rest, and I'm so grateful for your support during that time. I've learned that being a hero isn't just about pushing yourself to the limit. It's about knowing when to step back, take care of yourself, and come back stronger. Her fans flooded the comments section with love, and Izumi knew that her journey was far from over. She had found a new sense of balance, and she was ready to continue pursuing her dreams, both as a YouTuber and as a hero. Izumi felt a renewed sense of purpose as she returned to her training and her YouTube channel. The balance she had found, however delicate, was something she was determined to maintain. The support from her fans had given her the confidence she needed to face both the pressure of hero training and the demands of her growing channel. It had been several weeks since her break, and with each passing day, Izumi felt more connected to herself. Her recovery from her burnouts wasn't just physical, it was emotional and mental too. She'd found time to sit with her thoughts, to process her experiences, and to step into her own strength. But as her confidence grew, so did the weight of her responsibilities. Her followers had continued to grow, and with that came more requests for live streams, behind-the-scenes footage, and training tips. Izumi was happy to oblige, but she realized the temptation to overwork herself was still lurking, as it always had been. She couldn't lose sight of what mattered most: her well-being. One day, after completing a particularly intense training session with All Might, Izumi was about to return to her dorm when she felt a sharp, agonizing pain in her shoulder. She gasped, dropping to her knees. It was the same injury that had troubled her weeks ago, the one she had pushed through during her previous videos. She knew instantly that she had overdone it. I can't keep doing this," she murmured, clutching her shoulder as tears welled up in her eyes. The pain was so intense, it felt like it might consume her. "I thought I was better." Her breath hitched. Just then, her phone buzzed. It was a notification from her channel. New comment on your latest video, we miss you, Izumi. Are you okay? Please take care of yourself. We want to see you healthy. Izumi's heart ached. She couldn't let them down, but she couldn't keep pushing herself this way. Her body, her mind, her heart, they were all telling her the same thing, she needed to stop. The decision was harder this time. She couldn't keep pretending like everything was fine. If she kept pushing, she might break. And breaking was the last thing she wanted to do, especially not in front of her fans, who relied on her to be strong. She sat in her dorm room, staring at her camera and the message on her phone. She had promised herself she would always be honest with her fans, but this felt different. This wasn't just a moment of vulnerability, it was a full stop. Izumi hesitated for a moment before reaching for her phone and hitting record again. Hey, everyone, she began softly, her voice trembling. It's Izumi. I need to talk to you about something. She paused for a long time, gathering the courage to continue. I've been pushing myself too hard, and it's catching up to me, she admitted, looking down at her hands. I've hurt myself again, and I need to take a break. I don't know how long it'll be, but I'll be back. I just need time to heal and to focus on myself. I hope you understand. Her voice broke slightly, and she sniffed, trying to compose herself. What if they're disappointed in me? But then, she remembered the messages, the overwhelming support from her fans the last time she had taken a break. This wasn't about impressing them. It was about staying true to who she was, and that meant showing up, even when things weren't perfect. She hit stop, and stared at the screen. She had done the right thing. She just hoped that her fans would see it that way too. Over the next few weeks, Izumi focused solely on her recovery. She took the time to reflect on everything she had gone through, the constant pressure, the late nights editing, the push to do more and be more. She spent days in the medical wing at UA, resting her shoulder and allowing her body the chance to heal. But more importantly, she spent time reflecting on her identity as both a hero and a person. She was more than just her videos. She was more than her struggles. She was allowed to have setbacks. Izumi's fans noticed the change immediately. Instead of the usual training content or daily vlogs, she shared a message of self-care, reminding her followers that sometimes the best way to move forward was to stop and breathe. She shared snippets of her life outside of her hero persona, including the books she was reading, the walks she took to clear her mind, and the quiet moments she spent enjoying the little things. And, as always, the comments flooded in. We're rooting for you, Izumi. Heal up, take care, and come back when you're ready. We'll be here. Your health is the most important thing, Deku. We can't wait to see you at your best. Weeks passed, and Izumi's shoulder finally healed. With the time away from her usual routines, she had a chance to reevaluate her priorities. She had learned that, in her pursuit of greatness, she had been neglecting herself, and while she loved her fans and her channel, she couldn't sacrifice her well-being for them. It wasn't easy, but when Izumi finally felt ready to return, she did so with a new sense of clarity. She restructured her approach to her channel, deciding to focus on content that reflected her balance between heroism, self-care, and growth. She decided to film her hero training, but she also showed the recovery process and the importance of mental and physical rest. She talked openly about her setbacks and how she learned from them. She encouraged her viewers to put their own well-being first and not to measure their worth by productivity. Her next live stream was scheduled for a Saturday evening, and as the time drew closer, Izumi's nerves kicked in. Would her fans still support her after all this time? When she hit go live, she was met with a flurry of messages from fans who had waited patiently for her return. Deku, you're back. We missed you so much. We're so happy you're okay, Izumi. Your health comes first, always. Take it slow, Izumi. You've got this. Izumi's heart swelled with emotion. She had returned, but not as the same person she had been before. This time, she was stronger, because she had learned to take care of herself. Her fans were right there with her, not only because of her strength but because of her authenticity. Thank you, she said softly into the camera. Thank you for waiting for me. I'm back because of you. I want to be the best hero I can be, not just for you, but for myself too. And I promise to keep working on that. Thank you for sticking with me. As the stream continued, Izumi reflected on how far she had come. She had found a balance, and it felt like a new chapter had begun. It was no longer just about being a hero, it was about being the hero she wanted to be, someone who could inspire others not just through feats of strength, but through her ability to face her flaws and grow from them. And she was ready for whatever came next. Izumi's recovery was a turning point in more ways than one. Not only had she gained control over her own limits, but she had also begun to realize that her platform as a YouTuber was about more than just inspiring people with her heroic feats. It was about connecting with others, showing them that everyone, even heroes, have struggles and setbacks. With her shoulder fully healed and her confidence restored, Izumi set her sights on something bigger, something that blended both her online presence and her training. The opportunity arose when UA announced a new initiative, the Hero Public Relations Program. It was a unique project where students would have the chance to create videos showcasing their hero work and training, helping the public understand the real-life challenges heroes faced. Izumi knew this was the perfect opportunity to combine her YouTube passion with her hero journey. Izumi's channel had shifted, gradually evolving into something more than just a series of fun vlogs or training tutorials. It was becoming a testament to the ups and downs of her life as a student hero. When the PR program was introduced, she saw it as a way to connect her YouTube journey to the greater world around her. This wasn't just about fighting villains anymore, it was about being a relatable, human hero who faced challenges that everyone could understand. Her first video for the project wasn't flashy. It wasn't about fighting villains or using quirks in dramatic battles. It was about a day in her life as a student hero, showing the small moments that made her journey meaningful, the pain of training, the joy of achieving small victories, and the emotional toll of failure. Hi, everyone, Izumi said as she sat on a bench, the setting sun casting a soft glow behind her. I'm Izumi Midoriya, and today, I wanted to show you what it's really like being a student hero. It's not all about big battles or flashy fights. Sometimes, it's just about staying strong when you're exhausted, pushing through moments of doubt, and remembering why you want to be a hero in the first place. She showed the training exercises that tested her limits, but she also shared moments of frustration, times when she felt she wasn't enough or when she doubted her abilities. Being a hero isn't about being perfect. It's about doing your best, every single day. By the end of the video, she felt a sense of fulfillment she hadn't expected. Her fans were responding not just to her strength but to her vulnerability, and it felt like the beginning of something even more powerful. Izumi's channel exploded after her first hero public relations video. The number of subscribers spiked, and comments flooded in. But it was one comment, buried within hundreds of others, that stood out the most. Dear Deku, I'm a fan of yours, but not because you're the strongest hero. I've always been inspired by how real you are. I'm struggling with my own challenges, and seeing you face your doubts and be brave enough to show your struggles gives me the strength to keep going. Thank you for making me feel like I'm not alone. Izumi stared at the screen, her heart racing. She read it again and again, absorbing the weight of the words. This wasn't just about entertaining people or giving them advice. She was changing lives, she was giving people hope. Her channel was becoming something far bigger than she ever imagined. I'm not alone, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. It was at that moment that Izumi understood her purpose. She wasn't just a student at UA trying to become a hero. She was a bridge between the struggles of being a student, a YouTuber, and a future hero. She was showing others that strength wasn't just about how much power you could wield, it was about how much heart you could put into every action, every choice, every day. Weeks passed, and Izumi's channel continued to grow. She found herself balancing her training, hero work, and YouTube career with a new sense of purpose. It wasn't easy, there were days when she felt drained, but she now had a team of friends and fans who supported her, reminding her that she wasn't alone. One afternoon, as she sat in the UA common room, editing her latest video, her phone rang. The name on the screen made her heart skip a beat, All Might. She answered quickly, her voice a little shaky. "Hello, Izumi," came the familiar, deep voice on the other end. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything, but I wanted to tell you something important." Izumi straightened up, feeling a surge of adrenaline. "What is it, All Might?" "There's a new initiative coming up," he said, his tone a mixture of pride and excitement. "The Hero Association wants to do a special feature on student heroes who have shown remarkable growth and promise. They want you to be a part of it." Izumi blinked, stunned. "Me? But I'm still just a student. I'm not a pro yet." "All the more reason," All Might chuckled. "Your journey has been inspiring, Izumi. Your growth as a hero and as a person, especially with how you've been sharing it with the world, has made an impact. They want you to show people what it's really like to be a student hero, how much effort and heart it takes. They see you as someone who embodies the true spirit of a hero." Izumi's chest tightened, her thoughts racing. "I don't know if I'm ready for something like that." "You've been ready for a long time," All Might said gently. "Sometimes, a hero's greatest strength is their willingness to embrace what comes next. You've already proven that you can rise above any challenge. Now, it's time to show the world the next step in your journey." Izumi sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the decision pressing on her. But deep down, she knew what she had to do. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about showing others that heroes weren't born perfect. They were made through hard work, perseverance, and the willingness to face their flaws head-on. "I'll do it," she said with newfound determination. "I'll show them what it means to be a hero." The feature with the Hero Association was unlike anything Izumi had ever done before. It wasn't just about her quirk or her heroic feats, it was about her journey, her struggles, and her growth. The cameras followed her as she trained, as she faced difficult moments, and as she shared her doubts and fears. And as she looked into the lens, she realized something: this wasn't just a part of her path to becoming a hero. This was her path to inspiring others, by showing that heroes weren't just made from power, but from heart. The video aired nationwide, and the response was overwhelming. Fans and people who had never heard of Izumi Midoriya were moved by her story, inspired by her willingness to keep going, even when things seemed impossible. She wasn't just a YouTuber. She was becoming a symbol of hope for so many people. And as she stood before the camera, ready to continue her journey, she realized she wasn't just walking her own path. She was paving the way for others to follow. The day of the Hero Public Relations Program's grand presentation arrived. Izumi stood on stage, watching as fellow students showcased their own hero work and training. But when her turn came, she felt the familiar surge of determination. This wasn't just about being on stage. It was about making her voice heard, showing everyone that heroes came in many shapes and forms. Her heart swelled as she spoke into the microphone. "We may be students, but we are already heroes," she said, her voice steady. "We face doubts, struggles, and setbacks. But what makes us heroes isn't the victories we claim. It's the courage we show every single day to keep moving forward, even when the odds seem impossible." As the audience erupted into applause, Izumi felt her heart soar. This was her moment, not as a YouTuber, not just as a student, but as the hero she had always wanted to be. And this time, she was not alone. The success of Izumi's Hero Public Relations video had catapulted her into the spotlight in ways she never imagined. She had grown accustomed to the attention, more subscribers, more views, and more messages of gratitude from fans who had found hope in her story. But with all this newfound recognition came a new challenge: expectations. Her followers weren't just watching her for her heroic actions anymore, they wanted to see the deeper side of her life. They wanted to know what it was really like to struggle, to fail, to rise again. And that scared Izumi. The pressure to always be perfect was more palpable than ever. She had become a symbol for perseverance, but even heroes have their limits. There were days when the weight of being a role model felt like it was too much, but she reminded herself of the promise she made to herself and her fans: to be real. To be honest. But then came an unexpected turn of events. One morning, as Izumi was finishing up her training, a notification popped up on her phone from UA. The message was from the school's administration, and it was about an upcoming event that would shake everything up for her, and every other hero student. It was a nationwide hero competition, one designed to highlight the skills of young heroes, but with a twist. This year, the competition would also involve media coverage, something that made Izumi feel both excited and apprehensive. The email said, all students participating in the competition must have a media partner to document their journey throughout the event. This will include interviews, live updates, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. The goal is to combine heroism and storytelling to show the world what it means to be a hero in the modern age. Izumi's heart raced. The moment she read those words, she realized what it meant. The entire competition would be on camera, not just for the public but for her own followers. Her fans would be watching her every move. It wasn't just a test of hero skills, it was a test of her ability to manage her dual life as a hero and a YouTuber. Her personal brand would be more on display than ever before. The decision felt monumental. If she succeeded, she would continue to grow as a symbol of hope. But what if she failed? What if, in front of millions of people, she didn't live up to the expectations? The weeks leading up to the competition were brutal. Izumi trained harder than ever before, pushing her body to the limit. Her fans eagerly awaited her behind-the-scenes footage, and she felt the constant pressure to deliver something perfect. Every video, every post, every update had to be meaningful, inspiring, flawless. But beneath the surface, Izumi could feel herself cracking. The weight of managing her channel while training for the competition was exhausting. There were nights when she could hardly sleep, when her mind raced with doubts. During one particularly intense training session, her hand trembled as she tried to maintain control over a new move. "Come on, Izumi, focus," she muttered under her breath, the exhaustion creeping into her bones. But it wasn't just physical fatigue, it was emotional, too. She was starting to feel like she was losing herself in the process. "Izumi." All Might's booming voice broke through her haze, and she turned, startled. "You've been pushing yourself too hard. You need rest." "I'm fine," she replied quickly, not wanting to admit how overwhelmed she felt. "Just need to perfect this move." All Might's gaze softened, but his words were firm. "No, Izumi, you need to remember something important. Being a hero isn't about perfection. It's about heart, determination, and learning from mistakes. If you keep pushing yourself like this, you'll lose sight of what really matters." Her heart ached as she realized how true his words were. She had been so focused on keeping up appearances, on being the perfect hero and YouTuber, that she had forgotten why she wanted to become a hero in the first place. The competition day arrived, and the atmosphere at UA was electric. Heroes, students, and media professionals filled the arena. Izumi stood at the edge of the stage, dressed in her hero costume, feeling the weight of the cameras on her. For a moment, everything around her felt surreal. The reality of what she was about to face, the eyes of her fans, her classmates, and the public, settled in. Her media partner, a fellow student named Haruto, was there to document every moment, from the interviews to the live updates. As the competition began, Izumi threw herself into the tasks, using her power and wit to navigate the challenges. But despite her success in some parts of the competition, the pressure of balancing her performance with the need to entertain her audience was beginning to take its toll. The more she performed, the more she felt the weight of expectation. Then, during one of the final events, something went terribly wrong. Izumi was put to the test in a simulation battle. She had been trained to handle unexpected situations, but this one caught her off guard. As the simulation villain approached, Izumi's confidence wavered, and she hesitated. In that moment of doubt, she made a mistake, a small slip-up that caused her to lose her footing, resulting in a fall. That put her out of commission for the remainder of the event. The moment felt like a crushing defeat. Not only had she lost the battle, but the cameras were still rolling, capturing her every move. As she lay on the ground, trying to recover, she could feel the eyes of her fans on her through the screen. They had seen her falter, and for the first time, Izumi was afraid of what they might think. Izumi's heart sank as the competition concluded. She had failed. She had been exposed. Her fans, her fellow heroes, everyone had seen her stumble. But as she sat in the waiting area, feeling the weight of her failure, her phone buzzed. It was a message from her YouTube account. Izumi, you're amazing. You showed us today that even the strongest heroes have their weak moments. It's okay to fall, as long as you get back up. You inspire us, always. The messages flooded in from fans who understood what she had gone through. They weren't disappointed in her. They saw her for who she really was, a hero, not because she never failed, but because she got up every time she did. Haruto, noticing her silent tears, gave her an encouraging smile. You did great, Izumi. You showed real strength out there. Sometimes, the best part of a battle is how you rise after a fall. Izumi smiled through her tears. She realized then that this was the moment she had been waiting for. She had always prided herself on her ability to keep going, even when the world was watching. And this time, she didn't need to be perfect. She just needed to be herself. A few days after the competition, Izumi sat down in front of her camera, the weight of the past few weeks heavy on her shoulders. She had promised herself she would be real, no matter what. Hey, everyone, she began, her voice soft but steady. I know a lot of you saw what happened in the competition. I know I didn't win, and I didn't perform as well as I wanted to. But that's okay. I want to be honest with you all, I'm still learning. I'm still growing, and sometimes, even heroes fall. But the important part is getting up and continuing on, no matter how hard it is. Her words were met with overwhelming support. Fans flooded the comments with messages of encouragement, reminding her that they loved her for her resilience, her heart, and her honesty. The real Izumi, flaws and all, had finally emerged. With renewed strength, Izumi closed her eyes and whispered to herself, I'll keep going. I'll be the hero I want to be, even if I'm not perfect. Izumi's journey has come full circle. She has faced failure, vulnerability, and the immense pressure of balancing heroism with being a public figure. Through it all, she learns that true strength comes not from never falling but from having the courage to rise after each fall. With her fans beside her and the lessons she's learned along the way, Izumi is ready to face whatever challenges come next, not just as a hero but as herself. Izumi had spent the days following the competition reflecting on her journey so far. Though the bruises of her failure still lingered, the messages of support from her fans and friends had given her a new sense of clarity. She had always feared her imperfections would make her weak, but now, she understood that showing her true self was what made her stronger. Her YouTube channel, once a source of personal frustration and pressure, had become a platform for raw, real connections. She wasn't just a student trying to become a pro hero, she was a mentor, a friend, and a role model to countless viewers who felt like they were facing their own battles. The outpouring of love and understanding from her fans was a reminder that heroes weren't defined by their triumphs alone, but by how they faced the hardest moments with courage. Izumi's next video captured this realization perfectly. Hey, everyone, Izumi said, sitting on the same park bench where she had filmed her first PR video. This time, the tone was different. Gone was the nervous girl who worried about failure. In her place was a young woman who had embraced her flaws, her journey, and her dreams. I know I've been quiet lately. The competition really knocked me down, and I needed some time to reflect. But I think it's time to talk about something important. She paused, her hands resting on her knees as she collected her thoughts. The camera caught her vulnerability, her quiet strength in the face of uncertainty. I've spent so much time trying to be perfect, trying to be the best. But here's the truth, I'm not perfect. I never will be, and that's okay. Being a hero, or even just being a person, is about learning from your mistakes, pushing forward, and accepting that it's okay to fall sometimes. Because what really matters is how you get back up. Her voice wavered slightly, but she steadied herself, a quiet determination in her eyes. I've realized that the real strength isn't in the victories or the battles we win. It's in the courage to be vulnerable, to show up even when you're scared, and to continue trying despite the obstacles. I want you all to know that you're not alone in your struggles, because I'm right here with you." The video ended with a soft smile. It wasn't a victory speech or an emotional confession, it was simply Izumi being herself, sharing her truth with the world. After posting the video, Izumi felt lighter, as if she had shed the weight of her insecurities. She wasn't worried about maintaining an image anymore. Instead, she was focused on what mattered most, becoming the best version of herself, one step at a time. But just as she had settled into this newfound peace, something unexpected happened. Late one night, as Izumi was editing another video, she received an urgent message from UA. It was from Principal Nezu, and the tone was serious. "Izumi," the message read, "we have an unexpected situation. There's been a sudden spike in villain activity around the city, and the authorities need all available students for rapid response. Your skills, especially your ability to think on your feet, are required. This is no longer a training exercise, it's a real-world emergency. You will be joining other students in a high-risk mission." Izumi's heart skipped a beat. Real-life action, something she had trained for, something she had watched All Might and others do countless times, was now at her doorstep. For a brief moment, doubt clouded her thoughts. Was she ready? Could she balance being a student, a hero, and a YouTuber in the heat of a real battle? But the decision didn't take long to make. She had faced her fear of failure, and now, it was time to face her fear of the unknown. The next day, Izumi stood at the edge of UA's training grounds, her classmates gathered around her. Her heart was pounding in her chest, but this time, it was not from fear of failure. It was from the adrenaline of stepping into something bigger than herself. The media team had been called to document the mission, but for Izumi, it was a reminder of just how far she'd come. Her phone buzzed again. Haruto had sent a message. "Remember, we're all rooting for you. Be safe, Izumi. You're stronger than you think." Izumi smiled. The support from her friends, from her fans, was something she had never taken for granted, and now more than ever, she knew she could rely on it. The mission was intense. Izumi and the other students were split into teams, and her role was to assist in neutralizing the villain threat while providing real-time updates to the public. This time, it wasn't just about saving people, it was about showing the world that heroes could come from anywhere, and that real strength lay in how they rose together. Izumi's team worked seamlessly. Her determination, honed through countless training sessions and fueled by her drive to protect the innocent, was unwavering. She couldn't rely solely on her power in this situation, she had to think strategically. She used her quick thinking to guide her team, adapting on the fly as the villains changed their tactics. Her phone, mounted on her arm for updates, captured everything, the action, the tension, and the moments of quiet heroism in between. She knew that these moments would soon be shared with her viewers, and for the first time, she didn't mind. This was real. This was her journey, and her followers weren't just watching, they were experiencing it with her. The mission ended successfully, though it was not without challenges. Several villains were apprehended, and though there were injuries on both sides, the students proved their mettle under pressure. Izumi stood, breathing heavily, her body sore from the battle, but a sense of accomplishment filled her chest. The aftermath was quieter than she expected. While UA praised their efforts, it was the response from the public that caught her by surprise. The video she had shared with her followers during the mission went viral. People were moved not only by her bravery in the field but by the authenticity with which she had shared the journey. Izumi's followers didn't just see her as a hero in training, they saw her as a symbol of hope and perseverance. In the days that followed, Izumi received countless messages, from fans and fellow students alike. Everyone had seen the video, and they were moved by how she had kept them updated, even in the most dangerous of situations. They admired her honesty, her ability to show both her strength and her vulnerability, and how she balanced being a hero with living a life that wasn't always perfect. Sitting in her room that evening, Izumi reflected on the past few months. It had been a roller coaster of emotions, moments of triumph and moments of failure, victories and challenges. But through it all, she had learned that being a hero wasn't about being flawless, it was about continuing to move forward, no matter the circumstances. She picked up her phone, staring at the comments on her latest video. "Thank you for being real, Izumi. You showed us that even when things get tough, we can still push through and make a difference." Izumi smiled softly. She had come so far, from a nervous student afraid of failure, to a YouTuber with millions of followers, and now to a real hero in the making. Her journey wasn't over. In fact, it had only just begun. And as she uploaded her latest video, detailing the mission, her thoughts, and what she had learned, she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with everything she had. Because that was the essence of being a hero, not how many times you fell, but how many times you chose to stand back up. Izumi sat in the corner of UA's classroom, her phone tucked carefully into her bag as the lessons continued. The aftermath of the mission was still fresh in her mind, images of the villains they'd defeated, the injuries they'd sustained, and the weight of the responsibility that had rested on her shoulders. Despite the victory, something lingered in her thoughts. Her role as a hero wasn't just about her actions anymore. She was becoming a leader, someone her classmates looked to for guidance. And that terrified her. Over the past few days, she'd noticed the way people looked at her, as if expecting something, anything, from her. Her friends, her teachers, even her fans, they all saw her as a beacon of strength, someone who could lead others through difficult times. But with that responsibility came an unexpected burden. What if I fail them? What if I can't live up to the expectations they've placed on me? She had been afraid of failure before, but now the stakes felt so much higher. She wasn't just failing herself, she could be failing her classmates, the people who looked to her for inspiration. It was a pressure that threatened to crush her, but she had no choice but to keep moving forward. It didn't take long for the next challenge to come. Izumi's YouTube channel had gained more followers than ever, but with the surge in popularity came a new wave of expectations. Brands, organizations, and even news outlets began reaching out to her for collaborations, interviews, and endorsements. While she had always managed to balance her hero life with her YouTube career, now the balance was beginning to tip. She was stretched thin, training for upcoming exams, assisting with missions, managing her channel, and maintaining a public image. There simply weren't enough hours in the day. Her inbox was flooded with requests. "Izumi, can you give an interview on your approach to heroism? We'd love to sponsor your next video. Could you collaborate with these pro heroes for a special event?" Izumi felt the weight of it all. Each request felt important, but as she sifted through them, she realized something: she had been neglecting herself in the process. It wasn't just about the next video or the next mission, it was about her. About remembering why she had started this journey in the first place. Izumi closed her laptop for the first time in days, taking a deep breath. She needed to clear her head. A walk, maybe. Anything to regain a sense of balance. As Izumi walked around the quiet campus, the weight of her responsibilities kept tugging at her. But as she passed the training grounds, she saw her classmates, Katsuki, Shoto, Ochako, and the rest, talking and laughing together. Their camaraderie was a reminder that, despite the pressure, she wasn't alone. They were all in this together. "Hey, Izumi," Ochako called, waving her over with a bright smile. "You look like you've got a lot on your mind. Everything okay?" Izumi hesitated, not wanting to unload her doubts on her friend, but her shoulders sagged. "I don't know, Ochako. I've just been feeling overwhelmed. With everything. My YouTube, my training, the mission. I don't feel like I'm doing enough. Like I'm not enough." Ochako's smile softened. "Izumi, you are enough. Don't you see? You've been juggling so much, and you're still standing. I know it's hard, but you don't have to do it all alone. We're all here for you. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep trying." Izumi swallowed the lump in her throat, the weight of Ochako's words settling deep in her heart. She wasn't in this alone. Her friends had her back. The people who followed her, who supported her, they weren't expecting perfection. They were expecting Izumi, the hero, the person, the friend. "Thanks, Ochako," Izumi said quietly, smiling through her uncertainty. "I really needed to hear that." The next morning, a surprise guest arrived at UA. It was none other than All Might, though not in his usual heroic attire. He looked more like a mentor now, as he stood in front of the class, his posture more reserved than it used to be. "Izumi," All Might began, turning to face her. His voice was calm but filled with a quiet power. "There's something I've been meaning to tell you. You've been through a lot, and I've seen you push yourself harder than anyone else. But I also see something else in you, a potential that goes beyond the physical strength you've always relied on." Izumi looked at him, surprised. "What do you mean, sir? You've grown, Izumi. Not just as a hero, but as a person. You have this ability to inspire others, to lead them. You might not feel ready for it, but I think you are." All Might paused, his gaze steady and full of warmth. "I was once in your shoes, and I didn't know if I was ready either. But leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing when to lean on others and trusting that together, you can move forward. And right now, I believe you have everything it takes to lead, not just your classmates, but all of Japan." Izumi blinked, stunned by his words. All Might was known as the greatest hero of all time, his confidence and strength were legendary. To hear him speak so highly of her felt almost surreal. "But," Izumi hesitated, her throat tightening. "I'm not sure I can live up to that. I don't know if I'm ready. What if I let everyone down?" "You already are a leader, Izumi," All Might said softly. "You just haven't realized it yet. Sometimes, it's not about being the strongest or the smartest. It's about being there when it counts, showing up for the people who need you. You've done that every step of the way." Izumi felt her chest tighten, but it wasn't from fear this time. It was a realization. She had been so afraid of failing, of letting people down, that she hadn't seen the truth. The people who followed her, her friends, her classmates, they weren't looking for perfection. They were looking for someone who would stand by them no matter what. And that was what she had done all along. With renewed confidence, Izumi set out to balance her hero duties and her YouTube career with a newfound sense of purpose. She didn't have all the answers, and she wasn't perfect. But she had her heart, her determination, and her friends. Her next video was a reflection of her journey, the highs and the lows, the victories and failures, and the importance of accepting help when you needed it. She was honest, raw, and real. "Hey, everyone," Izumi began, her voice steady but emotional. "I've learned a lot recently, and I want to share something with you all. I've been trying to be perfect, to be everything for everyone. But the truth is, no one is perfect. We all have our struggles, our moments of doubt. And that's okay. What matters is that we keep moving forward, together. And that's what I plan to do. I'm not going to stop, and I hope you don't either. Because no matter how hard it gets, we're all in this journey together." The video was met with an overwhelming response. Comments flooded in from people who had been inspired by her vulnerability, her honesty, and her strength. As Izumi sat back and read through the messages, she realized something. The real strength didn't come from the number of views or the praise. It came from the connections she had built along the way she had shared her heart with her fans, her friends, and herself. She was ready for whatever came next, because now, more than ever, she knew that she wasn't alone. Weeks passed since Izumi's last mission, and the pressure of balancing her life as a hero in training and a YouTuber never seemed to fade. In fact, it only grew heavier. The increase in villain activity meant that UA students were being called upon more frequently for real-world missions, and her channel's success had drawn attention from both the public and other heroes. One particular evening, as Izumi was preparing for a live Q&A with her fans, she received an urgent call from Principal Nezu. "Izumi," Nezu said, his voice unusually serious. "There's been a major threat. A villain with a powerful quirk has surfaced, and it's unlike anything we've dealt with before. We need you and the other students to be on high alert. This is more than just a training exercise. I'm putting together a team for immediate deployment. Izumi's heart raced, her breath catching in her throat. A villain. Something serious. She had been part of smaller missions before, but this was different. This wasn't just about saving lives, it was about stopping something dangerous before it escalated further. She paused for a moment, staring at her phone. Her followers were waiting. Her friends, her classmates, they were all counting on her. But as much as she wanted to help, she knew she couldn't do both. She couldn't ignore the call to action from UA, but she also couldn't leave her fans hanging. Taking a deep breath, Izumi made her decision. She posted a brief message for her followers: "I'm headed into a real-world mission, but I'll be back as soon as it's over. Please stay safe and know that I'll be thinking of all of you." Then, she turned off her phone, leaving the buzzing notifications behind. Izumi arrived at UA, where her classmates were already gathered, ready for deployment. The mission details were still unclear, but the atmosphere was tense. This wasn't just a test. It was real. Her classmates, usually so full of energy and optimism, now wore expressions of determination. "Ready for the challenge?" Katsuki asked, his usual fiery demeanor replaced with something more focused. Izumi nodded. She wasn't afraid anymore. She had faced villains before, but this time, something told her that the stakes were higher. The team was led by the pro-heroes, including All Might, who had joined to offer his support in a way that felt even more profound now that he had retired. He had already seen the power of Izumi's courage, and now, it was time to see her strength in action. The villain they were after was named Rogue, a man with the ability to manipulate shadows into tangible weapons, monstrous, twisting forms that could strike from a distance and move faster than any hero could anticipate. His quirk was both powerful and unpredictable, and the city was already in chaos by the time the students arrived. Izumi's pulse quickened as she and her classmates took their positions, working under the watchful eyes of their pro-hero mentors. Her quirk had grown stronger over the years, but she knew her success now depended on something greater than just physical power. It was the teamwork, the strategy, and the ability to think quickly under pressure that would make the difference. As the battle raged on, Izumi felt the weight of responsibility press down on her. Rogue shadow monsters were everywhere, grabbing, striking, and attacking without mercy. The streets were filled with screams, and even the pro-heroes were struggling to hold their ground. She could hear the clash of battle in the distance, but in the midst of the chaos, one thing became clear: this was a fight they could not afford to lose. Izumi's team fought valiantly, but Rogue was unpredictable, constantly shifting the battlefield and changing his tactics. His shadows were almost impossible to avoid, and the team was being worn down by exhaustion. But Izumi wouldn't give up. Her fans were watching her every move, she couldn't let them down. "Don't give up," Izumi yelled to her classmates, as she lunged forward, her fists crackling with energy. "We've got this." But Rogue was waiting for her. The shadows converged, wrapping around her legs, pulling her into a trap. For a split second, panic gripped her. Was this it? Was this where it all ended? But then, Izumi remembered everything she had learned, the strength she had found in herself, the support of her friends and fans, and the courage to keep going, even when the odds were stacked against her. With a surge of power, Izumi broke free from the shadows and launched herself at Rogue. "I won't let you hurt anyone," she cried, unleashing everything she had. The force of her strike shattered Rogue's shield, sending him sprawling to the ground. Her classmates rushed in to help, and together, they were able to subdue him. As the dust settled and the villain was taken into custody, Izumi collapsed to her knees, exhausted but triumphant. The city was safe once more, but the victory had come at a high price. Many had been injured, but none had lost their lives. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message from Haruto, the ever-supportive friend and fellow YouTuber who had become a close confidant over the past year. "Izumi, you were incredible out there today. I watched the whole thing. You've grown so much, and I'm so proud of you. You inspire us all." Izumi smiled, tears welling in her eyes as she read the message. It wasn't about the views, or the recognition. It was about the impact she had on those who followed her, those who believed in her, just like she had come to believe in herself. A few weeks later, Izumi sat in front of her camera once again, preparing to share her thoughts with her followers. This time, she felt different. More sure of herself. More at peace. "Hey, everyone," Izumi began, her voice steady. "I just wanted to share something important with you all. The mission was tough, and we faced things I never thought I'd encounter. But I want you to know something. It wasn't the strength of my quirk that got us through, it was the strength of the people around me. We fought together, we learned together, and we never gave up. And that's what being a hero is all about. It's not about fighting alone or being perfect. It's about the people you choose to stand with." Her smile was soft, genuine, as she looked directly into the camera. "Thank you for believing in me. For sticking with me through all the highs and lows. I'm not perfect, and I don't have all the answers. But what I do have is a heart full of gratitude. And that's all I need to keep going." Izumi uploaded the video and sat back, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. She had faced her biggest challenges yet, both as a hero and as a person, but she had come out stronger on the other side. And now, she was ready to face whatever the future held, knowing that with the support of her friends, her fans, and her own inner strength, she could do anything. As she stared at the screen, the comments began flooding in. "Izumi, you're a true inspiration. I look up to you so much. Thank you for everything. You'll always have my support." Izumi closed her eyes and smiled, feeling a warmth that came from deep within. The journey wasn't over yet. In fact, it had only just begun. The end. Izumi Midoriya, a hero in training and a YouTuber, had finally realized her true strength. Not through battles or fame, but through the love and connection she shared with those around her. The road ahead would be full of challenges, but now, she knew she wasn't walking it alone. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this journey with Izumi as she navigated the world of YouTube while balancing her hero duties. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions and thoughts on the story. And, of course, if you have any fanfiction ideas you'd like to see next, feel free to share them. Thanks for watching.